Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Have you announced the procedure?
जी.
Okay, so you call someone for recitation?
Recitation होगी दोबारा.
Okay.
Recitation होगी, introduction भी होगी.
Okay, fine. So I am at your disposal to answer any questions which you may address to me. Just feel free at home.
Human society is so corrupt on this. How can we more effectively get God's message across?
Can you once again?
No, I understand, yes, but for the sake of recording, would you please repeat your
Human
question?
society seems to be so corrupt.
Yes.
How can we, as individuals, get God's message across more effectively?
And the point is that every disease has to be first analyzed and diagnosed. Why are we corrupt as human beings and tend to be corrupt? After repeated messages come to reform us, every time we fall back to the same old trend of pursuing the worldly pleasures, which in itself is not a bad thing. To pursue pleasure is good. But when you are given up to pursuit of pleasure, then right and wrong are all forgotten. Then you must have it, like addiction. So it is that part of pleasure which is condemned by God. Otherwise, everything pleasant is good for his servants. But when it is at the cost of someone else, then pleasure causing pain to others is what is rejected. But why are we so corrupt? That has to be analyzed. And unless we reach the root causes and begin the cure from there, just the superficial treatment would not mean anything. Yesterday I discussed this matter with some would-be member of parliament who had also come to attend my question and answer session. And he was deeply concerned about what was happening in Britain. The moral degradation, the rise of crime, and lack of sensibility to others' pleasures and sufferings. And I told him that you should have learnt your message from the most beastly killing of the innocent children in Scotland. Just to talk of superficial changes in the law and go for legislative reforms or to strengthen the hands of the police is not at all a relevant answer to that problem. That problem lies elsewhere and deeper in your society. It has a relationship with the overall rising crime of child abuse. And generation after generation things have been happening where people grow up with a sense of suffering and inferiority complex at the hands of their elders, at the hands of the society around. So they nurture these passions of revenge quietly until they burst into a flare of what you saw. He was not a madman, because madmen don't show cruelty to children. He was not a sane man either. He was on the borderline of madness and sanity, and he was in fact a distorted image of the society, which was going. Now, you do not reform your television programs, you do not put restrictions on what is to be shown or published, and how people's private lives are probed and why should they be probed by the media and so on, when the royalty itself is not safe, not because the royalty has a special right, but it becomes a focus of attention of all the people. What happens there, what is tolerated there, is tolerated at every other level, even more so. So there are many things which are wrong and which are getting more and more twisted with the passage of time. No legal reformation is the answer. You strengthen the hands of the police, and the police itself is a part of the whole society. And unfortunately, the standard of police is not at all the same as it was years ago when I was here. I was here as a student. So things have to be analyzed cool-mindedly, not politically, but wisely, at a forum of people from all walks of life and their representatives participating in a meaningful search for truth and search for the right measures. Morality is what is missing, unfortunately. Morality, not just Christian, but any morality is morality. Religious morality is one unsplittable thing, and it's universal. So when I speak of morality, I do not mean Islamic morality or Christian morality or Jewish morality. To me, morality has to be universal or it is not morality. Whatever name you may give it, it is not right until it has to be universal. So with a determination to resolve your problems armed with universal concept of morality, where racism does not play a part, where differences of areas, north and south and east and west, are not permitted to be counted as factors. Just a human responsibility should be discharged at human level. Then you will see there have to be effected many reforms in your media, in your treatment of many daily problems. The concept of freedom has to be rectified. Once again, it has to be thoroughly examined. What do you mean by freedom? Freedom to what extent? How far? If my hand is free and my hand is not free, where his nose begins, of course. And similarly, we have a relativity in our relationship. Freedom in which areas? Now, again, one very important factor which has to be brought to the notice of the British as a whole is that they are dividing a line between responsibility to man-made legislation and responsibility to divine legislation. And this treatment is so prejudicial in favor of man-made that when children, particularly young girls, teenage girls, grow up in the school and the teachers feel that their parents are pressurizing them or advising them very strongly to behave morally according to the expectations of their religious teachings. Now they are always told you are free. What right have they got? If your parents interfere overmuch, then you better go to the social department and they will take care of you. And this happens. Many home is absolutely shattered. And the future of these girls is absolutely destroyed. With a sense of irresponsibility which comes with it, this apparent shelter. They are rendered shelterless. And when the same teenagers reach the age of maturity, then do you know the message of the law in the school and colleges? Previously, we ignored your faults, but man-made laws will be fully supported by law. And if you violate the laws, now you will be punished. A strange thing. When they mature, they are told not to take care at all, not to take care in the least of what God expects them of moral behavior. But what society and the state expects them of the man-made law, which are of course defective everywhere. And this is why they keep on changing and yet they do not serve full purpose. They must be respected. So when you divide a line between moral values and the state values, then ultimately the state values do suffer. This is the simple message which simply, I don't know how they afford to miss. Because if the moral standard is not fully supported and maintained, the responsibility to human legislation cannot be created. So a religiousless society, an immoral society, will not be responsible or will not feel responsible to the man-made laws. As long as they can steal and do things in hiding, they will continue to do. This sense of responsibility only comes from moral teaching, religious moral teaching. This is what happened to communism. It is wrong to say that communism failed as a system. It failed because of lack of morality. The very system was in the hands of those who were immoral, who had no moral values. So why should they not turn the system to their own personal advantages? That is what happened in Russia. That is what brought the downfall of all communist regimes everywhere. So this is a message which had to be learned, and you should go deeper into the root causes, and then let's pray and join hands in everything good which we may bring about in the society together. Right?